My Trading 212 account has officially hit a new milestone of £30,000. So firstly, what has happened over the past couple of days to enable me to reach this new milestone? Well, the start of a new financial year is extremely exciting to me. I'm an investment nerd, what can I say? And last year, I maxed out the ISA, meaning I've been patiently waiting for my allowance to renew once more. And last week, I posted a video outlining my exact investment strategy. And so to recap, here's what I said I'd do. Starting in April, I will invest a lump sum of £6,500, followed by at least £200 extra each and every month. The money that I invest will all be used to buy shares in the ACWI ETF, which is a globally diversified fund, through a platform called Trading 212, and specifically within their stocks and shares ISA account. So you might now be wondering, what did she do? Well, I did do what I said I'd do. You could even say I added on a little bonus. But the timeline on this particular investment is quite important, as I lined this up in advance. Just as I said I would, I put the order in and the markets were closed for the bank holiday. So the plan was that the order would execute at 8 a.m. the following day. Now, I didn't know at that time, when I deposited this money, when I invested or I set up that purchase, I think it's important to share that I didn't know what the markets were going to do. I didn't even really know what price I was locking in. So in other words, how many shares I was going to be able to purchase with that money. But I had publicly committed to my investment strategy, and so I wasn't going to chicken out. Another way of looking at this is that past me had done all the hard work, so all I had to do was follow through on that. Because I had taken the time, and again, it's really important to acknowledge that I do not invest on a whim. I do think things through, and I am very meticulous with my investing strategy. Also, as you may recall, I had a little bonus action to discuss with you. So the bonus was literally to increase the lump sum from £6,500 that I mentioned in my strategy to £7,000. I was sat at the computer, the savings that I had was being transferred on the computer. And at the same time, I was sitting there with my phone, checking all my different banking apps, and I realised I had close to £2,000 sitting in my current account, which I didn't actually need. So for context, that current account is just for discretionary spending. Obviously, it had started to build up because I suppose I haven't been distracted or wanting to purchase things lately. And so I topped up the ISA payment. That additional £500, the full £7,000 in fact, it all went on my best friend ACWI. And some of you will know and recall this fund from this video right here. Check it out if you want to know how I narrowed it down, why I decided that one above all the other global funds that I had on my list. Now, when it comes to the investment itself, this is where you can actually feel a little bit concerned and apprehensive, because if you haven't thought before about where you want to invest, and you do have to pick where you want that money to go. So if you're feeling unsure of where to even begin in researching and deciding on a strategy, you can always contact me using the link in the description of this video. But this video isn't about that. So you may be wondering what happened and how is that performing? The answer to that question would depend on when you actually asked it. So yesterday, when the markets opened, I saw the value was down. And I'm not going to sugarcoat it. I'm not going to pretend that I don't feel emotion, because when I saw that, I was a little upset. Not to the point where I was ever going to sell any of my investments, but just a little like, oh, that's a shame. I don't actually have evidence of this. I think that kind of tells you more about what I was thinking at the time, because I didn't really want to document that. But in the interest of transparency, to the best of my memory, I think I remember seeing it down or around like £150, give or take. And that was just the daily, the last 24 hours change. So after investing 7,000, it was down 150 when I came and viewed that the following day, after it had sort of auto-executed upon the market's opening. Now, fast forward to today, I woke with fresh optimism, and to my surprise, we had a huge shake-up overnight. My ISA value of my new investments, the one I had topped up a mere 24 hours ago, had gone the full 180, even to the point where my portfolio was significantly up, and it was up, or it is up by £559 at the time of me recording this video. That is incredible. It is so, so good. And if we look at the past week, we're positive £736, month 503, 3 months 268, year to date the portfolio has increased an unrealised return of £565, 1 year it's 3,251, and actually £3,494 since I started this stocks ISA account on Trading 212. Because this account's performance is tarnished by the cash I held on it, I also wanted to write down the exact times that I invested and put it into my investment calculator to get the actual return purely from an investment perspective. I've invested into this account twice since I opened it. Firstly, on the 9th of July 2025, when I invested £20,135, and secondly, just yesterday, when I purchased another 7,002 of the same fund, which, as you know, is ACWI. That's £27,138 combined. And the last thing I need to enter is the current value of £30,229. And once I've entered in that information, it tells me that I've made a whopping £3,092 already. That means I'd be on track for a 21% annual rate of return if this continued for a whole year. Also, the unrealised return from my portfolio is making up 1/10 of the entire value. This is a stat that I will see increase over the long term, even if the annual rate of return drops down to a more realistic level. There was actually a ton of things I wanted to chat about today, from why we're increasing our mortgage overpayments to some really cool investment calculators and stats that I found online. But this video is already getting on a bit, so I'll leave that for another day. If you're serious about getting your finances in check, make sure you book a free call with me through the link in the description, as it's literally my job to help people get on track to building their best wealthy life. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.